conference held this morning by the Ministry of Public Service over the ongoing teachers' strike, the Minister for Public Service, Muruli Mukasari, iterated his call for teachers to return to work.
This should not really be an occasion for raising up tempers and moving everywhere and thumping chests and what have you. No. Let's be reasonable, civil people, rational. This situation will certainly be handled.
According to the minister, teachers should be patient until the next financial year when their salaries will be enhanced. Minister Mukasa also revealed that government is working out a way to adequately compensate primary school teachers who teach all subjects.
Especially when you are talking about primary schools. One thing, in the first enhancement, primary school teachers were given an enhancement. You see? They were given an enhancement. The first category of public service staff that were enhanced, primary schools teachers were involved. And of course the leaders, the heads and so on.
The minister's remarks come at a time when teachers under their umbrella body, the Uganda National Teachers Union, are still on strike over pay. Last week, the union revealed that they will continue with their industry action despite orders from the ministry to return to work.
As Uganda National Teachers Union, the industrial action is still on until government addresses the plight of teachers.
Members of the opposition under the National Unity Platform today also came out to support the teachers' industrial action, which they described as discrimination in the education sector.
And as the National Unity Platform, we want to sound our strong support for the teachers in this country. We think that for them to stand up and raise their voices and even go on strike, it is the right thing to do for them to express themselves. And so we as NUP express solidarity with them because the issues they are raising are critical issues.
How come the regime now says you must go back to class, we have to force you even when your grievances are not listened to? There must be negotiations with the teachers as opposed to trying to threaten them into silence.
Despite the calls from the opposition, government is insisting on its 28th June ultimatum of teachers to returning to school or risk losing their jobs.
If they all fail and people are adamant, we are not going back to work, come what may, we have refused, what do? We don't have a law that forces people to work. We don't have the forced labor law in this country. So if somebody says, I don't want to work, we respect that choice. You don't want to work, fine, okay. Resign or whatever, and then we look around for a replacement.
Today in some schools, teachers were asked to register upon arrival to confirm that they have returned to their work posts. The strike of the art teachers for the last 12 days has seen many come out advocate for equal pay among teachers. Lucky Atwaire Binjura, CTV, PM Edition.
All right, there you have it. Welcome to the Twitter Jabs too. Once again, my name is Apollo Sarah. And just another update to that, about 7 other organizations or rather trade unions have joined the strike, including the National Organization of Trade Unions, the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union, the Uganda Local Government Workers Union, and the National Uganda Government and Allied Workers Union, Uganda Government Allied Workers Union, and the Uganda Liberal Teachers Union. Well, in studio with me to dive more into this conversation and give us a status update on the strike with UNATU is Mr. Duluga Boni Philip, and he's the Deputy Secretary General of UNATU. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining me on the show.
Thank you too.
How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning, listeners.
Yes, first things first, the Permanent Secretary, that is Madam Catherine Bitarakwate, says that the industrial action is illegal and that public service did not receive a notice of industrial action. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, thank you, listeners, and good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming.
This is a maiden appearance.
Yes.
Thank you, CTV. It's a pleasure to be part of this discussion. It's very unfortunate that statement has come trying to allege a number of issues which I think is very wrong. We want to put it right.
Yes.
In 2019,
Yes.
before we enter into the
Gov't, yes.
we enter into our industrial action, we gave the public service a notice of 90 days.
All right.
And when the 90 days elapsed, there was no response. And we went in June, we went into industrial action 2019.
Yes.
And when we went into industrial action, our focus, of course, by then, we had signed the collective bargaining agreement of 2018.
Yes.
And we agreed on a number of issues to be implemented. And seeing that they were unable to implement, that was when we went into the action.
Yes.
And after the negotiation with the government agreement, we suspended the industrial action.
Yes.
In November 2019.
Yes.
We did not call the industrial action off. So this allegation that we are not given a notice is a lie.
Mr.
Because
Deluga,
now, right now, as we try to follow the issues to be implemented under the collective bargaining agreement with a series of reminders and engagement, today they fail to implement. And that's why we say now, okay, if you have failed to implement what is required, then we resume with what?
the industrial action.
The industrial action,
Yes.
which we suspended in 2019.
So it was suspended in 2019?
Yes, it was suspended in 2019
All right.
with the hope that we give government the leeway to be able to implement what is in the provision of the collective bargaining agreement.
Yes.
Now, in I think around February this year,
Yes.
we wrote to Minister of Public Service, reminding them of their obligation and what is required for them to do.
Yes.
There was no response. We also sent another reminder later. I think that was around May.
Yes.
And also telling them, since you are not responding, come June 15th, we are resuming the industrial action that we suspended in 2019.
Yes.
So notice was given, and we only suspended it.
All right.
We did not call the industrial action off. So this is a mere allegation, and it's very uncalled for.
Yes.
The mere fact that we were with full notice to the government
Yes.
is a clear indication that whatever the PS is alleging is in itself an illegality, because it is trying to twist around the provisions, which is very,
Yes.
very uncalled for.
Well, she also goes on to say that the industrial action has no legal hold or legal stand, and you just had the comments of the Minister for Public Service, Mr. Muruli Mkasa, and he went on to say that if you do not want to study, then you just resign and they'll find a replacement. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Actually, it is very unfortunate that they are so much engaged in this illegality. We have the collective bargaining agreement here. I have a copy here.
Yes, please. May I have a look? Thank you.
And
Yes.
in this agreement, we agreed on a number of parameters. And within the provisions of the clause,
Yes.
I want you to get to clause 29, clause 29, and get us.
Yes. The settlement.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you read to the listeners and they will hear?
You guys want to say clause 29, that is, it's titled the settlement, and then 291, it goes on to say that any disagreement arising out of the implementation of this agreement shall be settled in accordance with the provisions under the recognition agreement. It goes on to say in clause 292 that the government and the public service labor unions commit to mobilize and sensitize public officers to comply with this agreement and ensure that public officers commit to deliver services without undue recourse to industrial action / lockout within the framework of this agreement.
Yes. So it's a clear indication that they have violated and disregarded the collective bargaining agreement.
That was signed
that was signed by them. So this issue of trying to bring threats and intimidation that we are going to dismiss, we are going to delete you, is uncalled for.
Yes.
Because they are violating the principles of the collective agreement.
It also has here the Permanent Secretary for Public Services signature. Mrs. Catherine Bitara-Kwate, her signature is right here on behalf of Ministry of Public Service.
So according to the provisions of the collective bargaining agreement, it requires both the government and the union to refrain from issuing intimidation, threats. And the agreement requires that in case of any disagreement, we have to amicably settle the case. And it is there even in the provisions of the public service, negotiating, consultative, and dispute settlement machinery act of 2008.
Yes.
So who is doing the illegality? Is it the union or the government?
My next question, sir, is that Mr. Philbert Baguma goes on to say that the industrial action is still on until further notice, indefinitely. It is also said that about 12,000 teachers have not returned to the classroom, which has left even hundreds of thousands of students, maybe even millions, we don't know, not in the classroom. And this is after the longest education lockdown in the world, after 2 years because of the pandemic. And now we're going back into something else, something that now feels like another lockdown, because some schools have gone on to literally close. What are your thoughts on that? So how do you feel about that? That you are going to actually, that you may cause a lot of, damage to the children who are going to be suffering because of this industrial action.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah and listeners. I want to remind our members that the purpose of our industrial action is to ensure that there is fair salary enhancement across board.
Yes.
The mere fact that there has not been a satisfactory feedback from the government means that we continue with the industrial action until they will give us a feedback, and that will be answering the issue of the implementation of the CBA.
Regardless of the implication on the learners?
We are quite aware. We are quite aware of the learners.
And the parents who might have to go on to pay school fees again?
Let me give you this situation. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of the teacher.
Yes.
The one that holds the chalk. Have that empathy.
Yes.
And do the work.
Walk in their shoes.
In the shoes. And a colleague with whom you have the same qualification. You went to the same college or university.
Yes.
Had the same year doing a particular course. Just because you are teaching arts and somebody is also teaching sciences. And is given over 300% salary increment. And for you, nothing. And you are subjected to this kind of thing. What will be your reaction? As Madam Sarah, how will you feel?
The science teachers did say.
Yes, just put yourself in that, and I will need a feedback. Will you feel happy?
Absolutely, it would definitely be disturbing.
Yes.
But the science teacher,
on that point
yes.
Now, you are not happy, and you are forced to work. And as professionals, we are so much aware that when you have a workforce that is not happy, nothing will transpire there.
Yes.
Everybody will not be happy. A workforce and a happy workforce, you don't expect to get anything productive in that case. So now the issue here is we are looking at the teachers and the union, and we're also mindful about the learners. But at the same time, is the government mindful of the teachers' plight? Currently, let me give you a scenario. We are always on ground. We know what takes place every day. The school environment right now is not conducive enough. We have cases where you find the arts sciences having separate staff rooms.
Is that happening now?
Yes, this is the reality. So what are we up to? People cannot see each other eye to eye. It has gone personal. Yesterday I had a time with one of the retired teachers, a lady who was teaching in Kampala, and she retired. She came and told me personally that she was teaching science. But again, from my experience, she openly discouraged this arrangement because, according to her, much as the government have a lot of plan for the scientists, but in the actual sense, people are not teaching sciences. The children we are imparting knowledge on them are not getting the skills required. She gave an example of some practicals where you find if it comes to examination, these ones are leaked to the learners beforehand. Answers are leaked to the learners? In other words, teachers are aiding learners just in the gates that they are supposed to pass. Practically, it is the art subject that is being done well. So there's a problem already in the science subjects. So we are breeding children who may not be having the knowledge, and at the end.
But Mr. Duluga, those are very strong accusations. Can you attest to that and say that children are not actually getting the desired education that they need from sciences? Because you said that they're just being fed answers.
Take for example, the performance. Most of these learners are performing well in arts. Have you ever seen, there are very few cases where children get A in arts, in sciences. But you find the art subjects are being done well, and it helps them to pass, even right from O level. So now, the question is, if you think art subjects are not okay, scrap it off, and we see where will the science thing go.
But Mr.
So
Duluga,
besides that, we are looking at now, we are saying that means government is not concerned about the effects of this on the ground. I gave you an example of the separate staff rooms and the rest. Then there is also the issue of the science teachers being so very braggant and saying arts teachers are not important. And this also translates into the learners. The learners also now call these arts teachers comedians.
Where is this coming from? Where is this
all this has been created by this.
By who?
By the government. The aspect of saying this is important and this is not important. Now we are creating school environment that is not conducive enough, and therefore teaching learning process.
However, the president did not say that arts subjects or arts teachers are not important. He only said, and I specifically say, and I'm paraphrasing what the president said, he said that scientists are necessary for the development of our economy because they major in areas such as agriculture, industrialization, engineering, that are actually very necessary for the faster development of the country. He did not say that arts teachers are not important. He did not say that. I think his words are being misconstrued, and it's now causing it.
Because, like, for example, you
can't blame him for how you understand his statement.
You give someone 4 million and another one is 900. It is an implied meaning that I'm not important. You see that kind of impression. So what we are looking at now is the impact of this. Yes. This plan on the learning teaching processes. So that is the situation on the ground.
Yes.
And the same thing also comes in an ugly shape to the administrators.
Yes.
I'm a teacher, a deputy head teacher. I'm supervising somebody who's earning 4 million. I earn 1.6, 2.2. I'm the DO. I earn 1.8. I'm the cow. I earn 2 point something.
And somebody else earns more. Now, Mr. Diluk,
So you see that ugly environment. I just want you to imagine that kind of thing. Really, do you think people will be? Well, one time there was one who was cracking some jokes. Say, okay, for me, I'm a teacher of arts. Now let's see what the science teacher will do. He has the money. Let him use his money to buy some of this what? Apparatus. You see that kind of
yes.
confusion. So we are creating an environment where there will be no free interaction. People will even take it on personal.
So,
see, that's
Mr.
the kind of
Deluga,
thing.
I would like to ask you, in the event that the teachers do get fired, because government doesn't seem to back down from its what you are calling threats, in the event that the teachers do get fired, will UNATU take responsibility for that?
Yes, we are ready. Because what we are doing is within the law. And according to the Employment Act, it's around 76. And it is clearly noted. I think I wanted this one to be made to the notice of.
Yes. So you said UNATU is willing to take responsibility of all the teachers, all the 12,000 teachers who might get fired because of absconding from work, because it is absconding from work.
Yeah, I want to quote this section of the law.
Yes.
This is section 76, clause 2.
Yes, please.
Of the Employment Act 2006. They're saying, this provision is saying, provides that participation of an employee
All right.
in industrial action does not constitute a reason for dismissal.
Okay.
Where such industrial action is lawful. We are telling you, we are within the mandates of the law.
All right.
We follow the law to the dot. So what does that one mean? So the directive suggesting the removal of teachers, either from payroll or from work, is obviously illegal. And this is within the what? Within the Employment Act of 2006. So any decision that they will have arrived at, either deletion from payroll or dismissal of the members, it's illegal. And that is a good case for us as a union.
All right.
So my emphasis is this: all the chief administrative officers, the cows, all the government agents who are being used, any attempt to or at complying with this illegality, this is the directive which is very illegal, shall render them and their respective local governments to liable damages.
Yes.
Liable in damages. So whoever want to risk, let them go. And for us, we shall follow the what? The course of the law. It is very clear. These are the documents. So any form of threats and intimidation is just to scare our members. And I want to encourage the teachers down there, please remain firm, stay home. The purpose of the industrial action is to ensure we have a fair salary enhancement across all board. Right now, we don't have any satisfactory response from the government. That means our industrial action is still on until we reach a point and we achieve our target.
What are your comments towards the science teachers that have urged you to return to the classroom? I mean, through the Secretary General of Professional Science Teachers Union, that is Mr. Aaron Mugaiga, he did go on to call upon arts teachers and ask them and request them to please return to the classroom as you continue negotiations with government. Well, the Permanent Secretary for Public Service also went on to say that there is no provision for a salary increment for other teachers, that is the arts teachers, until the next financial year. So what are your comments on that?
It is very unfortunate, I think, to get that kind of directives. First of all, he's not our spokesperson.
He was requesting.
So we don't listen to anyone apart from our spokesperson, and therefore that directive cannot be accepted in any way. And it's very unfortunate of our colleagues, especially the Science Teachers Union. We are always being blamed by them on the wrong grounds. For us as a union, our mandate as UNATU, our mandate is to lobby and advocate for improved working and living conditions of our members, who are the teachers.
Yes.
And we do a lot of advocacy issue. And one of the issues we are talking about is now the issue of negotiation, salary enhancement as part of it. But there are a number of things that we undertake geared towards improving quality public education. And one of the aspects that we emphasize here is ensuring that we improve on the use of the teacher motivation.
Yes.
Such that we have a workforce that is happier. And once you have a workforce that is happy at work, then this one translates into school performance achievement. But our colleagues have resorted to like blame games, which I think is very unfortunate. So I'm wondering what happens after the salary enhancement. Will they have anything to do other than blaming the UNATU? I've never seen any of those constructive statements they have ever made in the area of unionism, solidarity. But every time they are ready to say, UNATU is the one blocking our salary enhancement. Those kind of statements, very uncalled for. And therefore, we are not in any way subjected to such kind of what? Such kind of persons who are being used by the government. So we are very happy, and I am very grateful to the teaching fraternity for the good effort we have so far shown, and we encourage you to remain firm. Let us stay home until we get a satisfactory feedback from the government. The purpose of our industrial action is to ensure that we sort out on this issue of the bias, this discriminative salary enhancement, which is very unconstitutional.
Yes. Well, about 9 trade unions have joined and are showing solidarity with you in the strike. How is this helping? Are they also trying to mediate talks between government and UNATU, or are they standing firm with you and also laying down tools in their respective fields? In the
arena of unionism, the aspect of solidarity is key.
Yes.
Fraternity, greetings, and also coming together. That is the spirit of our unionism. So we welcome their move, and even all the stakeholders and the community. Please, we are so much pleased with the support you have given us so far. And anybody, even a lay person, will be able to see this injustice. So we encourage everybody to come on board. Let us fight for this device, such that there be equity, and we have harmony at school level.
Yes.
Yeah. Because whatever they are doing for is unconstitutional. It is very clear in the constitutional provisions. I think Article 40
yes.
talks about economic rights, where it emphasizes on the issue of ensuring equal pay for equal work without discrimination. And also maybe trying to answer some of the threats that we're talking about. There is also the issue of the workers' right. That a worker has the right to form or join any union of his or her what? Choice.
Yes.
With the intention of maybe trying to promote and protect the social and economic interests of the membership. And therefore, if I just gave you the provisions under that.
Yes.
Once one is under industrial action, you don't need to give threats. So it is within the law. So all what they're trying to bring about is just trying to, it's a deliberate move, just trying to scare us. And if you closely analyze the trend at which this is happening, you can even see.
Yes.
It is just a scarecrow.
It's just a scarecrow.
We are not.
You're very convinced that they're just empty threats and it will not happen.
Even if it happens, we are ready for that. But our rooms are open. We continue to welcome dialogue, more especially on the implementation of the CBA.
Okay. Collective bargaining
agreement. Yes, collective bargaining agreement in good faith.
All right.
But we will not, we shall stand firmly to resist any form of intimidation, any form of threats, which we know is unconstitutional and uncalled for, unlawful.
Yes.
So the most important thing is members will be getting to know this information. And once you have the information, you will be empowered. Nobody can come and play around with your rights. Remember, it is because we are, the nation is.
Yes.
Therefore, let us come in solidarity. We support the cause. It is now. If we cannot do it now, then there's no any other time.
Yes.
So we thank you for remaining home. And we ask these government agents to also stop wasting the government resources in trying to follow these teachers, because you will not get them. They are not there. They are at home. But we are also aware that there are some kind of coercion. They are using some of the traitors. We have some of these teachers who are trying to betray their colleagues.
Yes.
But just because of their personal interest. You know, sometimes when you are not true, you don't have the profession in you, you can be taken for granted.
That's true. Well, resident district commissioners were asked to supervise the government-aided schools that don't have teachers that have reported, or rather that have closed, and hand those names over to public service so that they could be, terminated. What are your comments on that? Do you still think it is an empty promise from public service?
No, it has ever happened. It has ever happened, but where does it always end? They always are on the loser side. Of course, from them they can use the state resources. Some of those resources that they're using, why can they put to answer these issues? How much are they using? And in most cases, by the way, the local governments will be the one to incur some of those costs. Nobody will give them. I remember in 2013, when I was still in the local government, I was a victim of that. I was interdicted.
Yes.
For 5 days, but it was lifted within 3 days, simply because of some of these issues. And obviously, the person who interdicted almost suffered the whole cost. And you see that those are some of the threats that people always give. So let us remain firm. These threats will never happen. They will just. Yesterday I saw the Minister of Public Service trying to, from threats now was resulting to appeal, and I think that's a good move.
Yes.
If you watch him, and even the guest that was trying to, so that's a good sign.
You're right.
We hope it was done in a good faith, and we welcome that kind of dialogue.
All right.
And our doors are open for.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Duluga. And we'll be following this story very closely on CTV. We'll be bringing you all the latest updates in regard to the UNATU Teachers Industrial Action, that is the strike. And any updates that may be coming in, we'll definitely fill you in our PM edition, and also right here on Sunrise at Sea. Well, I was joined by Mr. Duluga Boni Philip, and he's the Deputy Secretary General of UNATU, that is the Uganda National Teachers Union. That's all I had for you in this segment. The conversation continues on social media and in our various news updates. But keep watching Sunrise at Sea, because coming up is wellness, and today we are discussing antenatal care. And if you're expecting a little band of joy, or if you're just curious to know what happens in antenatal care, this episode is especially dedicated to you. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea. Don't blink.